had the parent conference. Thank you to everyone who got involved and said that, like, I've been too kind. I had the parent conference. First and foremost, I'm a crier when I'm frustrated. I hate that about myself, but here we are. So I've already cried off all my makeup today. And here's how this goes. It was like the person that comes in and helps in the classroom. He was there. One of his core teachers was there, and this assistant principal who I've never met, not the one I dealt with last year, not the one that I've reported every issue to. He wasn't there. It was some new guy that I've never seen. And I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't remember his name, so we'll call him Mr. SpongeBob SquarePants. So SpongeBob is on the call, and then we have we'll say assistant and main. Main is not speaking, assistant is guiding the call, and SpongeBob is just here to observe. And I quickly point out, "Where's my best friend who said he was gonna be on this call? Where is he?" And they said, "Ah, he had a conflict and he couldn't come." "Bet he did, bet he did, bet he did, bet he did." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was like, "So then let's just go ahead and address it." And I was like, "New guy, SpongeBob, since you're on the call, I'm gonna go ahead and loop you in. I do expect you to be attending the in-person meeting that we're having on the 7th. Okay?" And he's like, "I didn't know anything about that meeting." I was like, "I'm sure you didn't, but now you do, and I'm expecting you to be there. We can circle back after this call to make sure that we follow up on that call." And he's like, Okay." And I said, "Hang on." And so I explained, I was like, "I'm just really frustrated as a parent who is trying to be supportive and trying to understand and trying to be there and trying to advocate for teachers and make my child advocate for himself and like trying to respect the process." And I said, "I'm really frustrated when grades aren't being put in." And I was like, "Because then I don't have a scale on how to step in. And if grades aren't being put in, like there's a multitude of reasons why grades aren't being put in. Right? So, like, we all understand that. And if they're not being put in because he's not doing it, if he's not being put in because he's a problem, if it's a behavioral issue, that's me. Let me know. I'll step in. If it's because he doesn't understand, that's us. Let's figure it out. Why doesn't he understand? If it's because you just can't be bothered, that's a you problem, my friend. So, where are we? And I'm guessing SpongeBob must be newish. So, assistant chimes in and he says, "Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up. I agree. And I'm really struggling as somebody who's supposed to be like overarching and helping. I don't know where to focus my energy because to me it looks like the student's failing. So then I am in my schedule to be there with said failing child to find out that child's not failing and they're doing totally fine when I could have been helping somebody else. So like it would really help me also if my colleagues would help." And I was like, "Oh, so this is an overarching problem." And yes, unanimously. Yeah, it is. And so I said, "So how do I help?" And I said, "Since you're in there, assistant, are you can you confirm if he's confusing him for this other kid like they did last year?" Which SpongeBob is like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. I again, we can loop in on that later." And I was like, "But last year he was confused for a totally different student and got written up and it was put in his permanent file and I had to go down there and not only argue, but prove that it wasn't the right kid and then get that teacher to come in and get it changed and then they couldn't figure out how to get it out of his permanent file." So like, yeah, it's a bigger deal than just like, "Oopsie, we're not grading this one class." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And this guy looks horrified. So he's writing it down. And then I was like, "I'm just frustrated because when I try and help my kid and I try and let him have his autonomy and do what he needs to do and like advocate for himself and do all those things, you're doing great. But sometimes I'm going to have to step in. But when I step in, your staff is so immature that they have been bullying and retaliating against my kid. And I'm not here to defend it." And I was like, "So I'm to the point now where I think I should just come to school with him. Not because my child's the problem. I won't even sit with my kid. I'm just gonna sit in every single class and watch because I'm not okay with my kid being bullied, and I'm not okay with other kids being bullied. So if you need somebody to sit there and observe every class, I'm your guy." New guy, SpongeBob was like, "What? What is going on?" So I gave him very Cliff Notes versions. At this point now I start crying because once I start saying all the things that have happened to my kid together, it makes me feel horrified. And, like, I know everybody loves their kids and everybody's kids are special, and I love that. And I don't know if it's just my heart or what, but when I say things like, "I am so lucky to just know my child," not be his mom, not be but to just know him, like, I know he's an amazing human, and I'm lucky to be just one small chapter in his story. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional again. Oh, so sorry. To think about this wonderful human who is doing what he's supposed to and showing up and being consistent and raising his hand and participating and being involved. And the assistant was like, he's always helping other kids and he's trying and he's engaged and he's a great kid and we really like him. And then new SpongeBob is like, oh, I think I've seen him at lunch. Yeah, no, he's a great guy. You know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, then how is he in trouble? Like, what's happening? And it kind of comes out that this teacher is like, he's meeting the expectations of like teaching the class, but like we might be dropping the ball on other things and we're a little bit uncomfortable in our own skin. So maybe the thought of a parent conference made us a little squeamish. But okay, like, okay, I hear that. Like we all got our own idiosyncrasies. Who am I to say anything? I'm sitting here crying. So like, but as I started like sharing more, this new assistant principal was like mortified. The amount of times, so everybody's got their little window on, the amount of times I saw this. Yeah, samesies. Help me. Help me. So we're writing things down. We're writing things down. And we're like, I'm so sorry. We have to go on to the next thing. And I was like, no, that's totally fine. I'm 100% available anytime for this topic. Like, I will show up. I will go through it with you. I will talk to you about it. Because if it's not for me, if it's not for my baby, it's for every other baby that might not have a parent that speaks up. It might be for the kid that doesn't feel seen or validated. And I was like, you have such a small window left before they're out here in this shitty world. And I was like, so how about in that small little moment, we pause and appreciate that they actually showed up and that they might sort of kind of be trying and they might not get it and they might not understand why algebra matters and they might not understand why, world lit matters. Maybe they don't understand. But you have such a small window before they're just out here on their own. And so, like, please stop. And I don't know what the right answer is. I was appreciative that I was, like, validated, that these other adults were, like, not happy, not happy. But there's so few in this sea of, like, trash, and I don't. So, thank you for giving me the courage to be like, "Okay, today's the day we're having a parent conference." Washed my hair, took my ball cap off, got ready. But also, like, where do you go from here? Oh, and my kid's not failing. He's doing great. And even the assistant was like, "I watched him take the test that he has zeros on. I watched him take it. I know he took it. I watched him. I know what grade he got, and he did not fail. He did phenomenal. I don't know why they're not in the system." So they're supposed to be checking on that today.